capacity, as when I say we Nigerian, to effectively supervise or see that our colleagues in
Consultant hematologist gives more insight to the prevention and management of sickle cell anemia.
And correspondent explores various challenges faced by refugees and highlights intervention efforts to address their plight.
Create a enable environment for the refugee camp in terms of emergency.
Issues relating to security of lives and property, good governance, and effective service delivery dominated discussions as President Muhammadu Buhari granted audience to two more newly elected governors of the governing APC. They were Babagana Umara Zulum of Borno State and his Ogun State counterpart, Dapo Abiodun. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo tells you more.
First to arrive the State House was the governor of Borno State, Northeast Nigeria, Babagana Zulum. His engagement with President Muhammadu Buhari, the first since coming to power, lasted about half an hour behind closed doors. Professor Zulum told newsmen shortly after that security concerns informed his visit.
Security issues are issues that need not to be discussed anyhow. But the government of Borno State want to address the root causes of the insurgency, especially the issue of access road, the issue of access to farmlands, and the issue of strengthening our civilian JTFs and as well as the military to perform better than before to ensure that stability has come to the people of Borno State. The meeting went well.
For the governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, his mission was to formally say thank you to the president for not only actualizing June 12 as Nigeria's new National Democracy Day in honor of the late worthy son of the state, Chief MK Abiola, who was also bestowed with other befitting acts of honor posthumously.
The first step of show appreciation was my coming today. And I'm coming back with my leaders who have asked me to come and ask the president for an appointment. My leaders, traditional institutions, and a few leaders of note from Ogun State want to come and extend their appreciation to the president. So we are very appreciative. This man won a valid election, but until date, he was not recognized. Today, he's back on the map. As a matter of fact, I told the president, most of our kids, our kids do not study history anymore. Many of them didn't know what June 12 stood for. Many of them didn't even know who Abiola was. But after Democracy Day, they began to ask questions. So they are now flipping back the book to say, so who is this Abiola? What indeed happened? So this is what the president has done for us, and we are very grateful. We are very excited about it.
The governor also used the opportunity to share his vision for the Gateway State with the president and solicited his support.
Our mantra is building a future together. So I took the president through what our vision meant, and I shared with him that our vision starts with factors that we call the enabler factors, and those that we call the pillars. And top of an enabler factor is a good governance factor to provide good and qualitative governance for the people of the states while creating an enabling environment for a public-private sector partnership, which we believe is fundamental to economic growth and individual prosperity.
For a start, he said, workers' salaries are now being paid as at when due. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Now, security, job creation, constitutional reform, and human capital development top the agenda of the Nigerian Governors Forum. Chairman of the forum, Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, said this at the forum's meeting in Abuja. Abibola Brooks Sunday reports.
It is the first time governors will be meeting after the forum's selection in May. After the convergence of members, the meeting was held behind closed door.
Issued at the end of the meeting of the Nigerian Governors Forum.
When done with their deliberations, the chairman spoke to newsmen itemizing their resolutions.
The forum resolved to propose the setting up of a security committee at the National Economic Council level and retain security as a recurring item on the agenda of the NGF for the foreseeable future, in order to continuously monitor development and security situation. State police is obviously an issue that is of interest to citizens and governors as well, and we'll continue to review our position on this. 3 members also resolved to relaunch its flagship state peer review mechanism program designed to assist states, foster good governance, and accelerate the rate of development through periodic reviews of progress made by state governments.
Gombe State Governor Inua Yahaya took advantage of the meeting to speak on strategies to better the lot of the people.
I focus more on how I could improve on the situation so that we could have higher IGR.
The forum also pledged to work closely with relevant agencies to strengthen investors' engagements and promote strategic insights into states' competitive advantages. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
The federal government is reassuring Nigerians that national interest will continue to guide any decision to be taken on the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area.
President Muhammadu Buhari gave the assurance while receiving in audience the National Council of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria on a courtesy visit. State House correspondent Adam Musambo has details.
The National Council of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, led by its president, Mansur Ahmed, was in the State House to formally appreciate the Buhari presidency for what it calls consistent efforts at sustaining the growth trajectory anchored on improving Nigeria's business environment. Mr. Mansur Ahmed enumerated the ease of doing business project, fight against corruption, focus on poverty reduction, job creation and inclusive growth, as well as the launch of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan as some of the credible policies that have driven the economy forward. He, however, noted that despite the significant progress recorded in the last 4 years, it is clear that the nation's economy is still fragile.
With the gross domestic product growing at 2.01%, below the population growth rate, the clouds are still threatening, and the task of driving the economy forwards and upwards is still enormous. But, Your Excellency, we are encouraged by the very strong commitment you expressed only last week in your Democracy Day address, when you said that in your second term, your administration will do even more, not only to continue to drive the economy on the path of sustained growth, but indeed to create a more inclusive and sustainable economy. Your Excellency, thank you for keeping faith with your promise of partnership with the private sector to grow the Nigerian economy and improve the well-being of Nigerians.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who described the show of support and appreciation by MAN as welcoming, said he is ready to receive the report of a committee it set up to assess the potential cost and impact of signing the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. The president told the association that the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is on the agenda for the upcoming AU summit in Niamey, Niger Republic next month.
I don't think we have the capacity, when I say we Nigerians, to effectively supervise or see that our colleagues in AU do not allow their countries to be used to dump things on us to the detriment of our young industries and our capacity to give foreign exchange to imported goods.
President Buhari promised to look into the presentation by MAN, which highlighted critical issues of concern to the manufacturing sector.
I assure you that I very much know our problems in terms of population, unemployment, especially of the aggressive young people. We need to move very fast. So the government will try and encourage you as much as possible. So there's a problem of unemployment and provision of goods and services relative to our population and state of development can be tolerated.
President Muhammadu Buhari is assuring the nation's manufacturers that the challenges associated with, amongst others, the export expansion grant, the 2019 fiscal policy measures, the recent increase in NAFDAC charges, as well as the Industrial Development Amendment Act 2019 will be carefully analyzed and conscientiously addressed. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari is tasking traditional rulers in Kogi State to sustain their collaboration and cooperation with relevant authorities towards preserving the existing peace enterprise in the Confluence State.
Adamu Sambo again reports that this was while granting audience to the State Council of Traditional Rulers led by the Atar of Igala, Dr. Michael Ame Obuni, on a council visit.
Accompanied to the State House by Governor Yahya Bello, members of the Kogi State Council of Traditional Rulers are here to formally congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari for having his mandate revalidated by Nigerians overwhelmingly. This, they say, is in the best interest of the country, as the Change Nigeria enterprise can be consolidated through the promising next-level agenda for national stability and prosperity. The Atar of Igala, however, made a strong representation for, amongst others, the fixing of critical federal routes, power projects, and prioritization of the Jakarta Steel Complex resuscitation drive.
The potential of the steel can fix unemployment issues in Kogi State and Nigeria at large through direct and indirect employment and transform the industrial hub of Nigeria.
While inviting the president to help inaugurate the various people-centered projects executed by the state government, the Kogi monarchs used the opportunity to earnestly ask for the return of Yahya Bello to power in the forthcoming November governorship election.
As far as domicile at home, knowing the past and current realities, we are coming to demand endorsement for His Excellency Governor Yahya Bello for the election, for the sake of prosperity, fairness, equality, and growth of our dear states.
Some people in the media, they already say we are playing politics. We are not playing politics, we are being realistic. When you are realistic, you say things as they are. We came to reintroduce our governor to the president and demanded for normal support since they belong to the same party.
What is happening in Kogi State is a revolution. A revolution in the sense that they are seeing governance like never before. The only assurance I can give to my royal fathers and the good people of Kogi State is nothing other than good governance, and to continue to deliver on my promises with the fear of Almighty God.
President Muhammadu Buhari appreciated the royal fathers for the show of support not only to him but also the Yahya Bello administration, which he described as reassuring. While promising to look into their demands for necessary action, the president made a case for sustained efforts at maintaining peace in the Confluence State.
You really occupy a very strategic place in the country, security-wise and political-wise. Nothing can be achieved without relative peace. And I'm very pleased you have taken to agriculture that will really keep yourself busy. And once people are kept busy, there will be peace across the communities, neighborhoods, and relative to the country.
President Muhammadu Buhari is reassuring Nigerians that the trust and confidence reposing in him by the renewal of his mandate will neither be toyed with nor misplaced. Taking Nigeria to the next level, he maintains, is a task that must be done. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the current attacks on the people of Kona in Taraba State and ordered security forces to end the violence immediately and decisively. In a statement by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the President warned that attacks on innocent people in the name of revenge or whatever motive would not be tolerated. According to the President, no group or people should surround innocent people and unleash murderous violence on them. President Buhari added that in a cycle of violence, Characterized by revenge and counter-revenge, there are no winners. He therefore criticized leaders that publicly preach the virtues of peace but privately promote hate and intolerance, which ultimately culminate in violence, destruction of life and property.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed Mr. Mele Kolokiari as the new Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. A release by the NNPC Group Manager, Group Public Affairs, Mr. Undu Ugamadu, stated that President Buhari also appointed, alongside Kyari, 7 new Chief Operating Officers. Until his new appointment, Kyari, a geologist, was Group General Manager, Crude Oil Marketing Division of NNPC, and also doubled since 13th of May 2018 as Nigeria's national representative to the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. President Buhari has directed that the new GMD and the newly appointed Chief Operating Officers work with the current occupiers of the various offices till the 7th of July 2019 towards a smooth transition on the 8th of July 2019, when their appointments will take effect to ensure a smooth transition.
Now, every profession endeavor has its challenges and risks. For the armed forces, the risks are a matter of life and death. It is not surprising, therefore, that the critical naval formations in the Niger Delta, tasked with safeguarding national maritime assets, say they face a number of peculiar challenges while carrying out their mandate. Najat Tijani in the creek with them has a situation report from the operation.
Every profession has hazards and challenges, but dealing with natural and man-made disasters, which the personnel of the Nigerian Navy do regularly, may not be part of the bargain. Some reporters are about to experience this firsthand.
Accompanied the Nigerian Navy on the routine patrol. This is what one of their routine patrols looks like. We're currently at a place called Bacana Creek, where we actually came upon a group of people engaged in illegal activities.
The suspects are apprehended with more than 50 drums of crude oil obtained illegally from pipes. They are taken ashore, where they will be handed over to relevant authorities. One of the suspects, a teenager from northern Nigeria, says he was lured by the prospect of making a quick buck. They all seem oblivious to the environmental impact of their action.
We've actually waded through marshy, muddy land to get to this particular point across Bacana Creek, where activities of illegal oil refiners are evident. There are pipes running across the ground and discharging waste into this creek. The evidence of the destruction can also be seen for miles and miles away. The destruction to the plant life covered in crude oil.
The Nigerian Navy says it grapples with such actors daily who show no concern for the negative impact they make on the environment and pipeline products. Najat Tijani, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. Residents of Lokogoma in Abuja are experiencing flooding. These are more news after the break. Please stay with us.
Siren buys a fire sense every woman's dream.
Advertising your goods and services on the right channel gives you an edge over your competitors. NTA News 24 has all the platforms for your target audience. The station is on DSTV channel 419, GoTV Channel 46, Star Times Channel 101, and Free TV Channel 703. With our digital format and wide range, we can reach your customers in next to no time. We are eager to promote your business, goods, and services. So, partner with us for a very rewarding business experience. For more information, please call Henry on 0803-379-0884 or visit our office at NTA Headquarters, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. NTA News 24. News and more news.
Good to have you back with us. In the meantime, a special tactical squad attached to Puff Adder in the Northwest has recorded another major breakthrough with the arrest of a notorious kidnapper. Francis Foom reports that the special tactical squad has intensified efforts towards restoring public confidence.
The heat is becoming unbearable for criminals in the Northwest region, with Operation Puff Adder daily recorded breakthrough. 2 weeks ago, 93 suspected kidnappers along Kaduna Road were paraded after being arrested by operatives of Operation Puff Adder. Another set of kidnappers, cattle rustlers, bandits and car snatchers have fallen into police net. Not even their trick to use this 29-year-old breastfeeding mother, Senior Esther, who concealed an AK-47 in a traveling bag to deliver to them, could pass through the vigil eyes of the operatives.
To take this bag all the way from Ondo State to somewhere in Ogun State.
Many of the criminals made confessional statements, confirming the intelligence reports from the public, which made it possible for the high-profile arrest.
All of these persons that we're presenting to you have been positively been indicted by our investigations in one way or the other. We believe by the time we're able to cut off weapon supply and cut off food supply to the criminals, we'll be able to smoke them out of their holes like mere rodents. This is our approach, and we'll be pursuing it very vigorously.
28 trucks of logistics supply for the bandits were also intercepted. In Abuja, Francis Foom, NTA News.
In a time past, Nigerian's prison system was used as a yardstick for all the wrong reasons. Today, the prison service is closer to the international standard than it is further. What has changed? Victor Azu in the special reports provides answers.
Before now and for so long, Nigerian prisons have been less a place of reformation and more of a place of punishment, and even where to become more of a hardened criminal due to many years of neglect. Despite several so-called reforms, the cells remained crowded, with majority of inmates awaiting trial, lack of recreational facilities, lack of education, and all-round poor welfare for both inmates and officials characterized the prisons. The emergence of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015 and the appointment of Jafar Ahmed as Controller General of Prisons in 2016 began the journey towards repositioning the Nigerian prisons.
The repositioning is ongoing in terms of infrastructure, in terms of logistics, in terms of the general welfare of both the staff and the inmates, and in terms of providing the necessary tools and environment for reformation, rehabilitation, and subsequent integration of offenders back to society. We are reforming the prisoners, and if this thing continues with the attention that this administration under President Muhammadu Buhari has been given, the prison system will be able to carry out its mandate.
The improvements notwithstanding, the question still remains how closer or farther from international best practices is the Nigerian prison service, especially with regards to the rehabilitation of inmates.
We are able for those who are not able to have any formal education to give them trade tests, and they are exposed to trade tests grade 3, grade 2, and grade 1. And we are also providing and expanding our educational pursuits. I have directed most of the controllers to open, at least in one prison, a national open university center that will now provide for education for the inmates, to provide also for the secondary schools and junior secondary schools that we have, to expand the program so that education becomes now a necessary tool. And you know the importance of education. It changes the character, it changes the perception of an individual, and it molds him to make him a better citizen. And because of also our increased budget, we're able now to provide for the tools in what program we call aftercare services. And just last 2 months, we did the aftercare service where we gave 35 inmates that have been discharged from the prison the tools of the various trades they have learned.
Just like the state of Nigeria's prisons before now rubbed off negatively on the image of the country, observers are hoping that the changing face of Nigerian prisons will also translate to better perception for the nation among Committee of Nations. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
With the onset of the rainy season, some residents of the Federal Capital Territory are having it tough with flooding. Residents of Lokogoma in Abuja are asking for government intervention to alleviate their plight.
I'm a school bus driver actually, so I just passed through this place now. It wasn't at this level, but by way going to the children from the estate, on my way coming back, I see everywhere filled up. To the extent that no car can able to go through. Everybody just stays hanging for now, depending where the thing will reduce. But I pray that government should do something about this thing before it becomes damaging for this environment.
This case is really blocking, hindering our movement, and they said the road was taken care of last 2 weeks, but from the look of things, nothing really happened. And the flood is not just from here, it is from somewhere else, which means the rectification shouldn't just be here. They should go down there and find a way to put it in order.
And people that they are the other side, they can't be passing. We that we are working here, we can't be coming to work. Honestly, they have to do something about this road.
Now, the Federal Road Safety Corps has once again brought to the notice of the general public, especially applicants flooding FRC driver's license centers for the renewal of their driver license to desist from doing so and rather use the bypass capture scheme of the process. In a release by the Corps Public Education Officer FRC BC Kazim, the FRC introduced the bypass capture functionality on the national driver's license to improve the ease of obtaining the license and save applicants time on waiting for capture. According to Kazim, an applicant for bypass capture will simply make payment online and visit the collection center to pick up the permanent license when it is ready. The Corps noted that there is no need to visit any driver's license center to recapture one's biometric information again. They added that the bypass capture is only available to applicants who have existing biometric information on the NDL system. The Corps indicates that an applicant can only apply for bypass capture for the first license renewal, which is after 3 or 5 years, and the second renewal, which will be after a minimum of 6 years, will require an applicant to recapture his biometrics.
Whether you are suspicious or not, this next story sure sounds bizarre, as Muhammad Adebowale tells you that what could have ended up as a day of celebration turned to a black evening for some travelers and their families on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway following a fatal road accident, which claimed 8 lives.
Now here's the twist. A similar incident occurred on the same spot on June 12 last year, and the FRC is saying it couldn't have been a coincidence.
The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, constructed some 48 years ago, is about 128 kilometers. The highway remains one of the busiest expressways in the country due to its critical contribution to commerce and social life. Available records indicate that an estimated 25,000 vehicles traveled on the road on a daily basis. Unfortunately, not all the vehicles get to their destinations, while many sustain injuries from fatal accidents, others lost their lives.
If we are patient,
there is likely to be reduction in the number of accidents we witness on this road. The ongoing road construction and diversion too is causing, because a lot of people are not really familiar with what is happening here. When you are supposed to slow down, you keep on racing. Where you are supposed to race, you keep on slowing down.
So the challenge of psychological problems is getting on the high side in Nigeria. A lot of people are understanding and they are thinking about the economic challenges they have. So concentration on driving most of the time is not 100%.
What, however, remains a mystery is the multiple accident which claimed 8 lives and many others injured on June 12th, the first day Nigeria commemorated Democracy Day.
This is where 8 people lost their lives in a ghastly motor accident on June 12, 2018. Exactly 1 year after, June 12 this year, 8 people again lost their lives in another accident at this same spot, but on the other side of the expressway.
While the country was celebrating a political development initiative, could it have been a coincidence that the same number of people lost their lives right opposite the very spot where a similar accident occurred exactly a year ago?
How aware are Nigerians of their genotype? Let's hit the streets to find out just how much people know about sickle cell disease and the importance of knowing one's genotype.
No, I don't know my genotype.
I don't know.
So do you have any information on the sickle cell anemia?
I don't know it too.
What's your genotype?
My genotype is AS.
I know that as an AS person, I can't marry anybody who is AS, or else there's high probability of giving birth to at least 1 or 2 kids that would have sickle cell.
If I get a partner that is AS, it too much affects me because me, I have a genotype of AA.
Not much. I just know that it's important for people to know their genotype so it could help them in picking their life partners.
Health Options, and we kickstart the program with a discussion on the diagnosis, treatment and management of sickle cell disease. And to take us through the topic is Dr. Akwebu Chiwendu. She is from the Department of Pediatrics, National Hospital Abuja. Thanks for coming on Health Options, Doctor.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, everyone.
We also have in the studio Ibazukwa Irabo Benjamin. He is with the Junior Chamber International Nigeria, a non-governmental organization. Welcome to Health Options.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's, I'm going to start with Dr. Chiwendu. You're a medical doctor, you're a pediatrician. And we know that at the mention of sickle cell disease, children, for no fault of theirs, are just born with this disorder, and what follows is unimaginable. I can speak from the point of someone who had family members who are sickle cell sufferers. And why should we be having such situation when we know that it's something that can be prevented from even happening?
Well, thank you very much for your question again. Actually, I'm a pediatrician. I'm resident doctor. I'm in training for pediatrics specialty in the hospital right now. So back to your question, the actual problem here we have here in our country is that of ignorance. Most of the people, a lot of people, no matter how much enlightened they are, you find that they are less literate when it comes to matters of their health. So you find most of our people too are not going to school, not having the opportunity, especially those in the rural areas. They don't have this opportunity to know a lot more about their health. So they go into marriages without getting tested. So that's the basic problem here. Most people don't know that they should test. They don't even know that something that is called your genotype exists. So they don't get tested. And in the process, they get to marry people that their partners get to have this sickle cell trait, and then they get to marry them, and then their children come up with this.
So you just mentioned sickle cell traits.
Yes,
what are we talking about? It's about the genes. Can you break it down to the layman's understanding?
Exactly. Now, there are a lot of terminologies. From your introduction, you mentioned a lot of things. First of all, the sickle cell trait, I would like you to know, is that this individual has one hemoglobin S gene, which is the abnormal hemoglobin, and then one normal hemoglobin, which is hemoglobin A. When this person has this that's the genotype that is called AS by the general terminology. When this person has this, it means that the person doesn't actually have the illness, but he can transfer it to his children. Like if this person gets to marry somebody with a similar trait, that's the AS genotype, the person has a 1 in 4 chance of transferring this sickle cell hemoglobin to the offspring. And when the offspring now has 2 sickle cell genes, that means the SS hemoglobin, then this person now has sickle cell anemia. However, when this person has hemoglobin S and any other form of abnormal hemoglobin, because there are more than 800 variants of abnormal hemoglobin. So it's not just the S. So it's not just the S. Okay. There is the C, there is the hemoglobin E, there is the hemoglobin O, there is a hemoglobin D. These ones are the common ones that are of medical importance, but there are more than 800 variants of them. So when this individual has the hemoglobin S and any of these other ones that I have mentioned, then a person can be said to have sickle cell disease. But the sickle cell anemia, the person must have 2 hemoglobin S genes, and that's the kind of person that usually comes down with all these attendant complications that you've just mentioned earlier.
And all of that.
Thank you.
I've seen them, we are having such crisis, and it's not anything you want to wish even your worst enemy.
Of course.
So I'm still staying on the fact that if people don't have that awareness, if the awareness is not there, what should we be doing? And that's where you come in, Ibazuko. What is your NGO trying to do? How is it trying to close that gap?
We as an NGO, we are trying to close the gap by creating awareness to the populace, because we know that individuals don't really get to know their genotype. From the findings of the little research I did, or both of me and my team did, we saw that it's only when you get to maybe get to the period of you wanting to get married, that's when you are being made mandatory to know your genotype. And we look at it that it is wrong. There should be a government policy for individuals. I mean, when a child is being born, for the genotype to be known. If as an individual, I know my genotype from the secondary school level, and I know my colleague or my proposed partner also know his or her genotype, I'll know that, okay, these persons, we are compatible and we'll be able to build, start up a family. Because
we've also seen situations whereby the couple are aware of their genotypes, that the lady is AS and the man is AS2, and they still go ahead and get married. Yes. I know of a couple who has 3 children, under such marriage, and the 3 children are not SS sufferers.
Well, let me come in there.
Isn't that a wrong signal to people? Because we could describe it as luck being on their side, but should people take such risk?
Of course, it's a risky situation, which somebody, knowing fully well all the implications of having a child that has sickle cell anemia, to go into that kind of relationship, is actually a huge risk. Now, like I said earlier, when parents have the sickle cell trait, they have a 1 in 4 chance of having a sickle cell anemia child with each pregnancy. So really, I think that this couple you've mentioned, they are really lucky because probability was on their side. I don't think that it's right for such couples to, do that, because it sends the wrong message, like you said, across to other people.
Okay, take us through diagnosis now. What What do we have?
Now, for diagnosis, there are different types. There's the screening test that you can do, and then there are the diagnostic tests. One of the screening tests is the sickling test, in which case the person's blood is diluted in some form of substance like sodium metabisulfite, and then you find it helps to deoxygenate the blood. You know, we said earlier that hemoglobin is the protein in the red blood cell that carries oxygen. So when it deoxygenates the blood, and then you see that abnormal red blood cell now sickles, viewing it under the microscope, that tells you that this person has the abnormal hemoglobin. So that's one of the screening tests that can be done. There's also other types like the hemoglobin electrophoresis, in which case you try to see how hemoglobin can move across an electrical field. Then the S hemoglobin moves slower than the A hemoglobin. So the separation, the lab scientists will be able to identify from the separation across an electric field which one is A and F. Then there are also other ones that are more specialized, yes, like the high performance liquid chromatography, or also the isoelectric focusing. That one also tries to separate the different forms of hemoglobin. Well, in this case, it tells you, like especially the high performance liquid chromatography, tells you actual percentages of different forms of hemoglobin that the individual has, and that way it can help you diagnosis, treatment, prognosis. These ones you can use it for everybody, whatever age from birth to adulthood.
So what about the treatment options? What options are available?
Well,
I already know that it's not curable. So what are those treatment options?
Exactly. Well, the first and foremost thing that you need to do is early diagnosis, because once the person is diagnosed early enough, follow-up is continuing, and the person can have an almost normal life. So basically, when the person is noted early, the follow-up is it involves a whole number of doctors, including the person's primary physician, the pediatrician, or the hematologist, basically. And then, depending on what other complications the person come up with, doctors in those specialties, you know. So at the regular clinic, person is given, supplementation, folic acid supplementation. The person's blood percentage is checked on a regular basis, and the person is tried to be kept free from infections by, having some immunization, specialized immunization, apart from the regular MPI immunization. Other specialized immunization are protect the person from infection. Person is advised to always be kept hydrated, take a lot of water, and then avoid some kind of strenuous exercises or, extremes of weather and so on. Now, when this person, also there are some other tests that you do. You can also check the brain to know about blood flow in the brain, to be able to identify those that are at risk of strokes, and so that you can curb it earlier on. There are advanced, and these are how to keep the person in a stable state so that the person doesn't come down with disease.
So how should it be best managed?
Each one that the person comes down with has a different line of management. Like for the pain crisis, when you have bone pains, extreme bone pains, a lot of fluid, pain relief, treatment of infection, because most of it, sometimes infections can trigger most of their crisis. So this person usually requires to be in hospital.
Are they normally placed on
special diets?
There's really no special diet for them. They should just eat proper, balanced diet like every other human being. But they should also have lots and lots of water. Water, because the more hydrated the person is, the flow. This sickle cells, they cause increased viscosity of within the blood vessel. So they cause stasis. So with increased fluid intake, there is more hydration. The person is able to pass out more urine and so on. And basically, the whole body has free flow of blood going and circulating around. So hydration, basically, that's the key for them.
Okay. Let's look at the social angle more now. You want to really, you're an advocate.
Yes.
There's a message you want to send out, you want things to be done differently so that we have less, children being born, with sickle cell disease and all of that. What exactly are you going to be doing?
As first, when the child has been born, at least the child ought to know his genotype. Even in secondary school, when you are being enrolled into secondary schools or any facilities, any government institution, at least you'll be able to know that you have this genotype, you have this trait. It's not just waiting till the very last ending, maybe where you want to now settle down. That is where we now want to now know your genotype. That is good, like what you said. You having someone that has, they have the traits, and they eventually. That is because they are lucky. On some cases, maybe the first child will be the one that has the sickle cell disease. Throughout the marriage, there will be crisis. The NGO is here to create awareness about the sickle cell awareness, and also make a government accountable in the sense that you put up policies that when a child is being born in the health institution, the child should be tested and know his or her genotype, and also in the rural community, because we intend to go to the rural community, because many of these facilities is very, very, because it's costly and it's only centered around the city center. So we're also looking at going to the extreme, the rural communities to also talk about the sickle cell disease, so that we can bring the tests closer to them. From there, we can see how we can reduce the death rate or the bad rate of children born with sickle cell disease.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Akukwe Mutuwendu, for coming on Health Options.
Thank you for having me.
We also thank you, Eba Kwazo.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
It's time to go over to our nature scanner for a peep into the medicinal value of lemon.
A lot of people have asked us that should they take lemon or should they not take lemon? Why won't you take lemon? Lemon is fruit and it belongs to the citrus family. It's like oranges. In fact, lemon is very rich in vitamin C. So when you're taking lemon, what you're actually doing is that you're taking vitamin C in its natural form. So from nature's perspective, we will advise people, rather than go to swallow vitamin C conventional tablet, we tell you to take your lemon, which belongs to the citrus family. You can harvest lemon yourself. You can also buy lemon and use them raw the way they are, and it is a very rich source of vitamin C. Vitamin C is important in body immunity, development of body immunity, and ensuring that cell integrity is intact and maintained. So, and lemon is a powerful antioxidant. It's a powerful source of antioxidant because, in fact, the most potent antioxidant in nature is vitamin C. Nature provides that. And when we do our experiments in the laboratory, we actually use vitamin C as the reference antioxidant compound to compare how well that compounds perform when we investigate the antioxidant properties. So consumption of lemon is encouraged the way it is. You have source of lemon. It has been proven scientifically that lemon also has anti-inflammatory properties. So people who suffer from pains, strains, arthritis, pains of arthritis, are encouraged to take a lot of lemon. It is also very useful. It's a good carminative agent and helps in digestive, because of its digestive effects. So it aids in digestion because of the soluble fiber that it contains. So, like we always say, it mops up. The language to understand is that it mops up. It helps to mop up the free radicals. That is those agents that are responsible for causing cancer in human beings. This consumption of lemon helps to mop up. It subsidizes this compound and sets you free. Whether you lick lemon or you squeeze it or you chew, or you lick it and end up chewing the sharp, you are consuming lemon. One of the best ways actually to take lemon is in warm water, because the solubility of the what we call solubility is when constituents in the material we are looking at, how it can go well into the liquid, what we call the vehicle that we want to use in our studies. Sometimes we use cold, sometimes we use warm or hot water, depending on the constituent that we are targeting. But lemon in warm water will help extract a lot of these useful phytoconstituents like vitamin C, vitamin B, and a lot of other components that are in there in lemon. So squeeze lemon in cold or warm water, preferably warm water. Drink lemon or consume your lemon like orange by peeling and using it. Or when you finish squeezing and drinking your lemon juice, you eat the chaff. These are all very, some people it might be bitter, but for people like me, that bitter part is what I love most. And like I said, this is what also helps digestion. There's nothing that does not have its own side effects. Therefore, there is a quantity that can be too much. The reason why people don't usually come down with overdose, acute overdose of products like lemon is because the constituents are actually highly water soluble, and because of that is highly distributed in the body and can easily be excreted from the body. But the caution is be moderate in consumption of products like lemon. The side effect of consuming excess of these fruits is that many of these products that contain agents that can increase the acidity or lower the pH of your system is when taking too much will acidify the system, whereas the body should preferably alkalinized instead of, that is, the pH is better when it tends towards the alkaline, lower alkaline region than the acidic region. So the major side effect that you get from this is that you have a lot of, you create an acidic system in your environment. And for us on long term and from experiments done in the laboratory, this predisposes animals, in experimental animals. It has been shown that this predisposes them to ulcers and then radicals, that could, because of excess acid in the system, you create environment that is favorable to development of tumors in the body system. So that is why we will always caution people to be moderate in what they how they consume and the quantity of these products that they consume.
Now you know a lot of reasons why lemon should be among your favorite fruits. And that does it on this week's edition of Health Options. You can watch the upload of other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. Thank you for watching. I am Rabi Abdullah. See you next time.